Anger. Luke chapter 4 verses 22 to 30. Everyone spoke well of him and was amazed by the gracious words that came from his lips. "How can this be?" they asked. "Isn't this Joseph's son?" Then he said, "You will undoubtedly quote me this proverb, 'Physician, heal yourself,' meaning, do miracles here in your hometown like those you did in Capernaum. But I tell you the truth, no prophet is accepted in his own hometown." Certainly there were many needy widows in Israel in Elijah's time, when the heavens were closed for 3.5 years, and a severe famine devastated the land. Yet Elijah was not sent to any of them. He was sent instead to a foreigner, a widow of Zarephath in the land of Sidon. And many in Israel had leprosy in the time of prophet Elisha, but the only one healed was Naaman, a Syrian. When they heard this, the people in the synagogue were furious. Jumping up, they mobbed him and forced him to the edge of the hill on which the town was built. They intended to push him over the cliff, but he passed right through the crowd and went on his way. Jesus was in the synagogue and he just told everyone that the prophecy or prediction made by the prophet Isaiah had come true, and that he was the fulfillment of that prophecy. It was a bombshell of an announcement and a historic moment. However, despite the people being amazed at Jesus' teaching, they started to question the validity of his claims, and clearly some were very hostile to this idea. You see, to make this claim would have been considered blasphemy, a crime against God, and a crime punishable by death. To make matters worse, Jesus responded by telling 2 stories that drove them completely nuts. They were enraged to the point where they wanted to lob him off the edge of a cliff. And that was pretty angry, huh? The 2 stories Jesus told were stories that his listeners would have been familiar with. They were both from the Old Testament, the Jewish religious writings. They were 2 stories about prophets, and in both stories it wasn't someone from the in crowd that got a blessing, but a foreigner or outsider. Jesus was making a very pointed comment. He was essentially saying that like those prophets of old, he was a prophet, and that his listeners who weren't listening were the in crowd that missed out, and that outsiders would be the ones who would get God's blessing. There was no turning back for Jesus now. He laid his cards squarely on the table, and this was the beginning of 3 years of ministry that would change the world. Jesus and those that follow him still encounter hostility today. In some parts of the world, this hostility manifests itself in all-out persecution. However, in our Western world, such hostility might manifest itself as ridicule, insults, or criticism. This can come from militant atheists, fundamentalists, or from people that simply don't understand what it really means to be a Christian. Today, decide how you will respond when people tell you that you are a liar or deluded for being a Christian. Holy God, your Son Jesus Christ didn't have it easy. He was humiliated, ridiculed, and worse. Help me when I encounter hostility, not to take it personally or to seek revenge, but to respond with love, wisdom, and understanding. This day and forever. Amen. How should we react when people tell us that we are liars or deluded for being a Christian? And what was Jesus saying to the crowd through these stories, and how did it fit in with his wider kingdom message?